American standings, good for currently fourth place. Up next for them, the battle for I-4 on Wednesday at UCF on ESPN News. Coach, thanks for joining us. Please update us on your team heading into the second half of the American Athletic Conference schedule.
Sure. Yeah. Obviously very pleased with, where we stand right now. But as Mick just said, there's a lot of basketball out there, a lot of games to be played. But, I like the fact that our team is, both individually and collectively continuing to improve. Played, 2 good games last week, 2 tough games, one on the road, one at home. And, one of the things I like about this team is we're figuring out ways to win games, and we had to do it in both those games in 2 different ways. But, as I said, in this league, to kind of echo what Mick was saying, if you're not ready to play and you go on the road in particular to some of these venues, if you don't play well, you have no chance. And we're a team that if we play well, we're very, very competitive. And, we've been playing well as of late and continue to improve. Solid toughness at every position, and we're a good defensive team, good rebounding team, and we get to the free throw line a lot. So, if we continue with that formula, then, I think we're going to, continue to improve. February is a tough month. I think you saw it in college basketball this weekend, even home games, teams, in the middle of the grind, not maybe ready to play or don't play their best, lose some games even at home that nobody thought they would lose. So you got to stay sharp, you got to stay as fresh as you can, and you got to try to keep improving.
Thank you, Coach. And a reminder to our media members to ask a question. Please hit *1 on your keypad. Before we turn it over, Coach, David Collins was seemingly clutch for you all of last week, coming up with key 3-pointers down the stretch. Talk a little bit about his development, especially from a freshman to a sophomore season.
Yeah, I think, the one area that he hadn't, at least number-wise, improved in was, some of his shooting percentage, his field goal percentage, and his 3-point field goal percentage. But he has improved in so many other areas. He's scoring more points, he's getting to the free throw line more, he's assisting more, and obviously, defensively, he's dramatically improved with his ability not only to guard, but also to force turnovers and come up with steals. Last week he shot the ball better. So I think he's turning the corner there a little bit, much more aggressive, to shoot some jump shots, because he's a hard-charging player that drives a lot. But he's looking for a shot a little bit more even on the perimeter, and he's, getting fouled and getting to the free throw line and making his free throws now as well. I think he's shooting almost 80% in the league. So that's a big assist for us in terms of him getting fouled a lot and then making them. But, his game has really evolved. And, sometimes, you guys have sophomore slumps after really good freshman years, and his numbers show that, he hasn't had that. Now, as I said, the one area that has dropped a little bit is his field goal percentage and his 3-point field goal percentage. But over the last couple of weeks, he's done a really good job in those 2 areas, and I think he's primed to really have a great February and March for us.
Thank you, Coach. We'll turn it over to questions now.
We'll take our first question from Russ Wood with runningthebulls.com. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Coach.
Hey, Russ.
How much do you preach to your players to maybe narrow their focus on what they can control and not get caught up in the praise that they're probably receiving from classmates and the media when you're this deep into the season, especially with injuries and things like that?
Yeah, I think it's the biggest thing. We talk about, all the time in terms of, E plus R equals O, events plus response equals outcomes. And the events, a lot of times you don't control that, but you do control your response. It's the one thing that you can control. And the more disciplined you are with response, the better chance you have of having a great outcome. The problem is we've been talking about that so long regarding the events being negative, because that's what we face for for a long time. And now we have to switch it up a little bit, and the event is, like you said, praise, positivity, different things like that. But, we talk to our guys all the time in terms of, controlling what you can control. And, like, for example, today what we can control is our preparation for Wednesday's game, and to make sure we have a good practice, a focused practice, a disciplined practice. We can control, the taking care of our bodies and doing all the things that, we obviously have a great training staff and have all the modern technology, taking advantage of all that stuff. And then there's nothing better for recovery than, rest and your nutrition and hydration and stuff like that. And sometimes we get caught up in all the different, things that we can use for our bodies, the cold tubs and the massages and the acupuncture and the this and the that. And then the guys don't eat and stay up all night and play Fortnite. You know what I mean? So that stuff is every bit as important. And I think our guys have been very, very good with that. They've understood how important that is.
Thank you, Coach.
And we'll move on to our next question.
Our next question is from Brian Murphy with Orlando Sentinel. Please go ahead.
Hi, Coach. Your team has won in a variety of different ways in this winning streak, scoring in the 80s, scoring in the 50s, winning by 1, winning by 20, OT last night. What are these wins in all these different ways said about your team?
Well, I do think we're a competitive group. You know what I mean? And we've been down and we've been up, and we've been up, and the team has come back on us, and we still were able to fight them off, like in the Memphis game, and even in the SMU game, we were up 8 with about 5 minutes to go and had a couple bad offensive possessions, and SMU executed wonderfully for the next 3 minutes and then took the lead. So, there's no substitute for having competitive guys, and there's no substitute for having guys that, kind of believe in what we're doing and believing in each other. And that's, to me, that's the most amazing piece, because no one has played together for more than, 23 games, that we've been together. There was no summer trip. There was none of that stuff to try to, speed up the process. So really pleased with our guys that way. And because of the fact that we still kind of hang our hat on the defense and the rebounding and the aggressiveness on offense, I think we can play in, a more up-tempo style, and score in the 80s, or if it's, a knockdown, drag-out, battle and score in the 50s and 60s and still win as well.
And just one more question.
Yeah.
With UCF up next, obviously the football rivalry between those two schools has really heated up over the last 2 years. When it comes to basketball, is there a little extra juice going in to face UCF because of the War I-4 rivalry?
Well, I think you hit a good point. I think because of the two schools' success, because of branding, because of all the different things, the football has really taken off, and it's great. You know what I mean? It's great. It's great for both schools. And we're both to each other the natural rival because of the proximity, and we're in the same league now and all those different things. So I don't think the rivalry is there where it's going to be in basketball. I think no one has more respect for Johnny than I do, and what he's built there and the way he's done it, and the type of team that he has this year and the type of team he's going to have in future years as well. So, we had to kind of step up to the plate a little bit more, and I think we're on the verge of doing that. So I could see this becoming a great rivalry with some great games, as we continue to move forward. And I think it should be, and it should be a special game for both schools. When I said yesterday, this game's got to mean a little more, I think, both schools have to feel that way for it to really become that. And, I think it will. I really do. I think it will. And that's great. That's great for both schools, and it's great for our league as well.
Thank you very much.
You got it.
Well, Coach, thank you very much for your time this morning. Good luck this week, and we'll talk to you next month.